Did you know that the Norwegian driver license is one of the most expensive driving permits in the world? Not only it's costly, but it's also quite difficult to get. Statistics shows that 42% of students fail the theory test and 28% fail the driving test on the first try, with the highest failure rate being 44% in the capital of Oslo. In this video, I will give you all the knowledge about the process and how to minimize the cost of studying. I recently got my driver license and it wasn't easy, but I learned a lot and I am here to help you to do the same. So if you want to get your Norwegian driver license without spending a fortune, stick around and let's get started. And just to give you guys key points of this video, I will talk about where to apply for your Norwegian driver license, all obligatory steps and evaluations you will have in driving school, driving practice and extra lessons that you will take, final driving test, and of course how long it took me to get my driver license and how much money I spent. So where do you start? First, you need to go to a page called statensvegvesen.no, and there you can choose English or Norwegian language, of course. You need to log in with your bank ID. After you do that, you will see this section called driver license. When you click on it, you will have an option there to order new driver license. After a quick questionnaire about your health and vision that you complete, you need to push the button order your driver license. That's all what you need to do as a first step. After that, you can start your training. Usually it's your teacher who sends the information to Statens Vegvesen about your completed steps and trainings. The first step is basic traffic course. This is the course that made for people to get to know rules about traffic, and it includes some theory. You will have first aid course. Also, you will have the demonstration of night driving. If you're over 25-year-old, you will have to take only first aid course and a night driving, but the theory you can actually skip. When you've done this basic course, you will get a learner's permit. It's called øvelseskjøringsbevis, and now they issue it digital. Before in time it was like a paper card that shows that you are allowed to practice yourself privately with someone who is older than 25-year-old. He needs to have a driver license for at least 5 years and of course be sober. So if police stop you, he will need to show his driver license. When you practice privately, you will have to buy a special L sign. This you can get in shops like or Biltema, and usually the sign you stick on outside of your car, or you can also stick it into the window on the back. The next step that I would advise you to take, it's a theory test. This is not must on exactly this step. The first step is just, I think that the learning itself of driving will go faster if you already learned the rules from before, and it can save you some time with driving teacher, and it means to save also some money. So that's the first reason. And the second one is sometimes there is a waiting line, especially in the big cities like Oslo, where I was passing my tests. And when you go to Statens Vegvesen to book your theory test, there can be a waiting line of 2-3 weeks, maybe months. It can be frustrating if you're already in the end of your education and you want to book your practical exam, but you need to wait for the theory first. And also, if you fail this theory, then you have a quarantine of 2 weeks and you need to pay the fee again. And if you don't want to fail your theory test, watch my next video. I will tell about how I prepared for the theory test in just 1 week, and I passed it from the first try without any mistakes. After you are done with basic course, you will start your basic training in driving school. And this first part is just about to get to know the car, get to know mechanics of the car, and be comfortable with car. Mostly you will drive in the neighborhoods where the speed limits are not more than 30 kilometers per hour. This part took me about 9 hours with driving school back in 2016. After that, you will have an evaluation hour when you and the teacher feel like you are ready to go to the actual traffic with other drivers. And here is a little tip as well. If you don't have enough money to complete your education and you have nobody to practice with, which is also important if you're short on budget, I will advise you to not start it and wait until you have the money at least every month to pay for your driving lessons, because this, for example, set me back and I had to take a 5 years break because I didn't really have money to continue with my learning. After I got back to school in 2023, I just didn't remember anything really of what I learned in these 9 hours before. After you complete this first evaluation, you will move to the next step, and it involves more driving. You will get out in the traffic with other drivers. Here will start your main education and the longest part of the learning process itself, I would say. You will need to master a lot of things. You will need to learn how to navigate roundabouts, how to use signals, mirrors. You will need to drive small roads, highways, so you will need to get some decent knowledge about how to navigate in traffic. This part is usually finishing with the safety course, another safety course. It's called Glattkjøring in Norwegian. After this course, you will have one more evaluation. In total, it took me about 2 months and 4 hours of driving every week. So I was driving 2 times every week privately. I didn't went back to school to do these driving lessons because I started from scratch and it would take a lot of money to be able to train to a decent level. So I found a private person who could teach me. Here you of course can use some help of the friends or family to practice with you, but in my opinion it's better to find someone who maybe worked as an instructor before or have very good, driving and teaching skills, because when you're just driving maybe with a friend of or a family, if you make mistakes they might don't see it and not correct you, or they cannot explain why certain things like they are. That's why when I was driving privately with this lady, I advanced so much. She worked before as a bus driver, and also she have a lot of categories and a lot of different driver licenses, and in general she worked in Norway as a bus driver for a very long time, and she's teaching a lot of people privately. She's explaining about Norwegian traffic, she's explaining the rules, we learn how to navigate roundabouts, she teach me how to work with mirrors, with signals, she was reminding me to look at mirrors, we were training overtaking, how to be overtaken. We were driving in the highways, we were driving the small roads. She taught me how to park, how to go backwards, how to turn around properly. I think that's where I got the solid base for final steps that I took with driving school. After 2 months, when she told me that I'm actually ready to go to the safety course, I needed to enroll myself again to driving school. When I found the driving school by reviews, was good reviews, it was a driving school of one person. I went there and asked her to evaluate me because I wanted to take this safety course. She evaluated me, but she told me that I'm not ready and that we need to drive more. We were driving with her for 1 more month, I think, and the problem was that she couldn't give me a time frame on how many more lessons I need to take before I can take the safety course. That's not even a final step of the whole education, so you basically can take it on the way and drive more after that, because the thing with the safety course is that you actually need to wait. So when a teacher from driving school enrolls you in that, it's usually 2, maybe 3 weeks of waiting time, because there's maybe 1 or 2 tracks around that can host all these driving schools. So that is, I think, is very important tip about choosing your driving school. You need to see if actually school can provide you with amount of driving lessons that you want. If teacher cannot offer you more lessons to advance faster, it's a big red flag and it will slow down your process significantly. This next safety course, it's a lot of fun. This driving on slippery road. When you go to this track, you go with your teacher. First you are having theory class where you sit all together and we talk a little bit about different weather conditions, risks. They try to scare you and they try to show you statistics about how many accidents happen because people not evaluate properly the weather conditions, and so that you need to be able to see for yourself what conditions you are driving in and make a precautions so you don't create any accidents. After this theory, we went to another showroom where it was also theory about how to secure and practice about how to secure your goods in the car and in the truck behind, how to secure passengers, how to secure kids, a lot of theory about how things are flying if they're not secured, how dangerous it is. There was a driving simulator, crash simulator machine. We were sitting and we were crashing on a very little speed and you could feel the impact. It was quite fun also. So the last part of this 4-hour course was going over the different tracks with your teacher in a car and see how car reacts on different roads. It was a wet road, it was slippery road, and you just try out how the car reacts when you lose control, how to brake, what happens when you brake, how to behave, how maybe to go uphill on the slippery road, how you need to drive, what you need to do. And I think this course also is very important for people who live in Norway because of different weather conditions all over the country, and in general it makes you so much more advanced in your driving. So after this course you will have one more evaluation with your teacher. You will drive for 45 minutes without help of your teacher and he will give you different tasks. On the second part you will discuss all the details about your performance. By this time you should be confident in driving on different roads. You need to be confident in driving in the city, on the roads outside, narrow roads, highway, merging in the highway. Also, you need to be confident driving in different speed zones. You need to show that you can use the mirrors correctly, that you can use signals correctly, of course, that you know all the rules, signs, and how to navigate roundabout. On the final step, before your actual driving test, it's only you're mastering the little stuff that is left and learning more towards predicting some situations maybe in traffic and learning how to drive more eco-friendly and in general being safer for other traffickants and for yourself. So in the final step of training you will prepare for practical driving test, and this training will end with the last obligatory course. It's a safety course on the road. After completing this course you can straight book your time for practical driving test. The amount of driving hours you need in this step, it's very individual and depends a lot on your skills. For me it was quite quick because I already had more than 60 hours of driving privately and with driving school. In this stage, in the last stage, you will learn mostly how to avoid accidents, how to drive responsibly, how to interact with other people on the road. By now the technical parts like signals, mirrors, knowing the rules, it should go more or less automatic. So the final obligatory course, the safety course on the road, takes about 13 hours and now it's divided on 4 parts, but previously it was involving driving with the teacher and 3 other students in the car to Sweden and back, as I heard. But now they actually change it up, and first you have 4 hours of theory again, where you sit in a class with other students and discuss responsible driving and how to handle different situations on the road. After that, your teacher pairs you with another student of your level and you are giving a road. We got road that was more than 10 stops. We had 1 week to prepare and you need to study this road. You start in your school and go from stop to stop. One person is driving, teacher sit next to you, and another person sit on the back and helps you to navigate. It's basically you can use only notes that you've been writing before. The hardest part for us at least was to get out of the Oslo city, because we were taking this class in Oslo and our school is in the center. We were a little bit stressed and caused a little situations there, but as we got out of the city, it was much easier when we already was on highway. But as a person that self-reflects a lot, I was not very happy with myself, I would say, because we were driving independently and the teacher was not blending in. And in the moment of stress, the fact that we were thinking more about our challenges inside and the traffic around us, we could have caused some troubles. The last part, it's actually summing up all the things that we've been through. We were discussing our mistakes. If you didn't pass your theory by now, you need to do it, because you cannot book your driving test without passing the theory test first. The next video I will make is about my personal experience with the driving test. I don't want to include it here because the video is already long on its own, and in the next one I will tell about how I prepare for the theory test first, and I will tell about tips and all what you need to know about driving test itself. I was passing it in Oslo. I passed it from second try, and I will tell you all the mistakes that I made and all the background theory that I know, experiences of other people, because I've been reading a lot and digging a lot, and I will summarize for you everything that you should do or not do during the driving test. So hit the subscribe button if you need this information somehow. I will be releasing the video next week probably. In this video I can just summarize the technical part about driving test, just a short overview. First, of course, you need to book your time through the Statens Vegvesen page. So when you're ready with your learning, you log in with your bank ID and you book your time. You can choose the closest traffic station to you or any station you prefer in Norway in reality. The 3 days before the test, you will receive an SMS with link where you can pay the fee, and this is a little bit cheaper than if you pay in the day of the test itself in the traffic station. You should not forget your valid ID, passport or another ID when you show up for the test. And the driving itself goes about 1 hour. You will be assigned an instructor who will evaluate you. You need to know that all instructors are different, and passing the test will depend a lot not only on your skill but on the instructor himself. When you sit in a car, instructor will ask you 2 questions. It goes on their iPad randomly, so he will not know it before he put it in front of you, and you get this 2 random questions about technical parts of the car. So it can be whatever, starting with lamps on the display that you need to show the lamps, from this cleaning stuff, maybe lights, how to check your steering and stuff like this. The list of questions to prepare you can get from your driving school. Usually they give you overview of the questions and there is answers in them, so you can go over beforehand and prepare yourself. Then it's driving part itself, which is like 45 to 60 minutes. You will get tasks along the way. You will get to drive different roads. They're testing you on highway, on the slow speed limit zones, on the outside of city roads, if it's possible, of course, given in what city you take this test. You will also get tasks like park, was 1 parking task, then it's 1 task about rearing, so going backwards, and the turnaround also. So this is also goes a lot into evaluation of your skills. So if the instructor is in doubt of how to evaluate you, he will look also at this task and if you complete them successfully. And after you return to the traffic station from this driving, the instructor will ask you, what do you think about your performance yourself? This question is also part of evaluation in some sort, because if you reflect on your mistakes and if you notice that there was some mistakes, I advise you to tell about it and say, yeah, that was maybe not good. And also while you drive, if you do some mistake, maybe acknowledge them also, so instructors see that you understood that in the moment maybe you did something wrong, but you kind of can correct yourself and you understand that it was a mistake, because stuff can happen on the road. After this question, he will give you a straight answer if you passed the test or not. Then you will get this decision in writing in your digital postbox. If you pass the test, you can order your driver license. They will send you a link where you can go and order your hard. And if you didn't pass, there will be a quarantine time of 4 weeks. After these 4 weeks, you can book the test again and you will need to pay the fee again. So that is complete our part about learning process itself. And in the end, as a cherry on the cake, I want to tell about how much time it took me to complete the full education. I remind you, I started from zero and it took me exactly 1 year. I started in February 2023 and I took my final driving test, the second attempt, in end of January 2024. If that would be not for second attempt, that would be shorter, because first I took in December, but overall 1 year. How much did it cost me? I calculated it because as I'm making video, I also write an article in my blog. I put a link down below. If you don't want to maybe watch or you want it in the reading, you can read it all there in details. The whole education was 87,739 kroners. Divided on 30,000 kroner I spent on the private training, which could be more actually if I took this driving lessons in school, and 57,739 itself in fees, obligatory classes, evaluations and driving lessons that I needed to take. This 87,000, it's around 7,500 euros for those who is not in Norway. I know that the rate of failure, especially in Oslo, is very high, and in my next video I will tell you in more details why did I fail the first attempt. I hope that you got some useful information from this video, and I see you in next one.